Right now, the National Weather Desk, dangerous wind, coastal flooding, and pounding rain. Francine made landfall overnight as a Category 2 hurricane.
Strong wind and rain battering the area right here in the French Quarter.
We'll hear from those impacted by the storm.
All of a sudden, we saw water starting to come in from all different areas of the house.
And why officials say the danger is not over.
Stay off of the roadways, stay home, and stay put.
Wildfires continue to rage in the western U.S.
We are stretched thin because we don't normally staff to this level.
We'll look at how extreme drought could impact the fall season.
By now, this would be coated in orange, or you'd be able to see the pumpkins by now.
And we'll show you the history-making spacewalk that took place this morning.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Francine is now a tropical depression with maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour after making landfall at 5 p.m. Wednesday as a Cat 2 hurricane with destructive sustained winds of 100 miles per hour. The heavy winds knocked out power to nearly 400,000 people. Dozens of flights were impacted in New Orleans and at Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston. The storm dumped several inches of rain that led to flash flooding as well. And you can see some of that storm surge here as Francine made landfall in Louisiana. Several roads were flooded along with homes and businesses in that area. Boats in the region were severely damaged as the floodwaters pushed them from their docks. Several drivers were trapped in their cars due to flooding as well. Here you can see it right here, a man being rescued from his truck by a bystander as it was nearly submerged, just going under those flood waters. After the driver was pulled from the car, it ended up full under that water. This serves really as a reminder that when you see water on the road, just turn around. Don't drown. The wind from the storm caused severe damage, taking down trees and also power lines. As you can see here, it also severely damaged several buildings. Tens of thousands of people are still without power in Louisiana this morning, with officials at this point, they're just adding up the damage.
After making landfall Wednesday in southern Louisiana as a Category 2 hurricane, Francine is weakening and continuing to push inland. But the Pelican State is already soaked. Torrential downpours sending floodwaters down roads in several parishes.
I'm just trying to get to work. I'm sure plenty of other people are trying to get to work too. And, it just takes a while for this water to get out of here.
Some homes flooded.
We even had our protective dam up. We even had the sandbags up.
And all of a sudden, we saw water starting to come in from all different areas of the house.
New Orleans seeing more than a month of rainfall from Francine. The storm leaving widespread power outages in its wake.
People inside right now, let the linemen and all do their jobs.
Tropical storm warnings remaining Thursday for millions across several states. Louisiana's governor calling for residents to be smart and stay safe as flooding, heavy winds, and storm surge levels up to 8 feet are still significant threats.
I want to remind all of the citizens that now is the time to begin to stay off of the roadways. Stay home and stay put.
And here's a look at D'Iberville, Mississippi this morning. As the storm approaches, you can see those winds are really pushing that camera. You can see it there. We have meteorologist Jennifer Collins tracking the system for us, as well as 3 other systems as well in the Atlantic.
Here's a look at Tropical Storm Francine. As of the 5 o'clock advisory, still a tropical storm at this hour, producing heavy rainfall across Mississippi, parts of northern Louisiana, Arkansas, and the Florida Panhandle too, now moving towards the Panama City area. Tropical storm warning still in effect for the northern coast, Gulf of Mexico. Francine will weaken through the day today, eventually becoming a remnant low as it moves over the Mississippi River Valley. 3 areas with a low chance of development in the Atlantic basin. One is an area of low pressure that could develop off the coast of the Carolinas, associated with kind of the residual effects from Francine. And then we have Tropical Depression 7 in the eastern Atlantic, just to the west of the Cape Verde Islands. This system is expected to move its way to the west over the next few days, maintaining that tropical storm strength, and then eventually will move into the central Atlantic, where it could eventually stall out. Next name of the season is Gordon.
In Alabama, rough surf and high risk of rip currents prompted beach closures on Wednesday. They are expected to remain closed today as well. Some folks wanted to experience the water today, but from a safe distance. Andrea Ramey has more.
It may be a gloomy day at the beach, but Mike Maynor is making the most of it while on vacation.
A rainy day at the beach is better than a sunny day at the office.
So you're not letting this weather ruin your trip?
No, it's great. We're out here just seeing what it looks like pre-storm, and the rain doesn't hurt us.
The rough surf and rip currents could. That's why beach officials are now flying double red flags to let people know they have to stay out of the water.
You can't even get your feet in. You know, it's a good day to come down and just look at the waves. Right now we're seeing surfing in the 4-foot range.
Disobeying and getting in the water could result in a $500 fine or arrest. Police are patrolling the beach to enforce the law.
Because some people don't know what the flags mean, so they're educating them and just talking to them about the dangerous conditions that we're going to see.
Dangerous conditions that could include a high risk of rip currents through Friday.
And while Francine did bring very dangerous conditions, some were hoping there would be a silver lining. Much needed rain to parts of the country that are dealing with major drought, but an unusual weather pattern prevented that from happening. Meteorologist Natalie Walters explains.
Hurricane Francine made landfall along the coast of Louisiana Wednesday evening, bringing flooding rains to parts of the south, but it won't be bringing much in the way of any rainfall to areas that really need it. And the reason why is because we have something called a Rex block setup going on in the upper levels of our atmosphere. So this is what we'll have taking place during the day on Thursday. Area of low pressure, that's where Francine would be located, with that ridge of high pressure just north of that area of low pressure. Well, that strong area of high pressure will be blocking the weakening area of low pressure as it tries to travel its way northward, keeping the rain just south of the areas that could really use it at this time. And here's the latest drought monitor that does have parts of Ohio and West Virginia under exceptional drought conditions with no rain in sight, at least for the rest of this week. And there you can see that forecast precipitation, which stalls out any rain before making it to those areas.
And now to the wildfires raging in the western United States. Several fires continue to burn with thousands of acres charred, several homes destroyed, and thousands forced to evacuate. In Southern California, the bridge fire continues to rapidly burn across Los Angeles County. These aerial pictures right here show the wildfire spreading across the San Gabriel Mountains on Wednesday. The bridge fire is currently being called the largest active fire in California. So far, though, it has burned more than 48,000 acres and destroyed nearly 40 structures. Fire crews are working to contain the flames at this point, while county officials fear it could actually grow. People in the area, had trouble evacuating because of all of these conditions.
It took like 20 minutes to get that far. It was just so hot, and the wind was just blowing and whipping around everything. I was getting belted by pine cones and branches and dirt.
Also on Wednesday, 3 people, including a Los Angeles County Sheriff Sergeant, had to be rescued by helicopter. In Reno, Nevada, firefighters are helping to battle the Davis fire, which is burning just south of the city. It's all hands on deck here to make sure they can meet the demands of their usual call volume as well. Kim Burrows has more.
As soon as flames shot up from Washoe Valley on Saturday, Reno firefighters scrambled into place. 50 people are currently attacking the Davis fire.
Yeah, we are stretched thin because we don't normally staff to this level.
The department is also down 23 firefighters who are helping fight fires in Wyoming, Oregon, Idaho, and California. They were committed before the Davis fire broke out. The fire chief said he asked for all hands on deck. There are 130 people on duty.
We put out the word to our personnel that there's a need in the community, and they stepped up. We have more than half of our people working, and kudos to them for their response and their commitment to the community and to the department.
The chief said so many people showed up for those extra shifts that they didn't have enough beds at the fire stations, so they're being housed here at the Evelyn Mount Community Center. Reno Fire says with the extra staff, it can cover the 130 calls expected each day.
So we are hopefully in a position where we have, because of our above and beyond staffing, capacity to handle anything that gets thrown at us.
All fire agencies are asking the public to be extra cautious working or recreating outdoors. Another fire could stretch staff too thin. In Reno, Kim Burrows reporting.
And history was made earlier this morning. Billionaire tech CEO Jarek Isaacman just wrapped up the world's first commercial spacewalk as part of SpaceX's Polaris Dawn mission. He left the capsule into the vacuum of space for around 10 minutes. He did some bending around to test out the company's new spacesuits. You see it there. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how new technology is helping officials evacuate residents from wildfires. And also we'll find out how the weather is impacting this year's fall foliage.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. It is a seasonably mild day in the Northeast today. Most of you will top out in the 70s and 80s. Look for a lot of sunshine. There might be a few clouds that mix in during the course of the afternoon. That's about 3 p.m. But today is going to be a very nice mid-September day. Hey, Friday's pretty good as well. There's a very weak disturbance moving in during the afternoon. That's about 2 o'clock. There may be a spot shower, particularly in northern New England. Look for highs again in the 80s. Look for temps in the 70s and low 80s on Saturday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We are seeing high pressure in place, keeping us high and dry. Not a drop of rain in sight until early next week. We're going to be looking at just a few clouds to move across the area at worst here. Going into your Friday morning, could start out a little thicker there, but towards your afternoon, we're going to say partly sunny. Temperatures very seasonable from the mornings to the afternoons. Low 70s in the mountains, low 80s to the upper 70s across much of the coastal regions, and that'll be the case all the way through your Friday.
I'm meteorologist Venus Reed. Here's a look at your forecast highs for the day. We're looking at 82 in Raleigh, 77 in Macon, Tampa at around 91 degrees, hot and muggy down there. We are continuing to track Francine as it continues to move north up through Mississippi, dropping heavy amounts of rainfall through northern Mississippi up towards Memphis. And as we go through the day, it's going to continue to track up towards Paducah, Kentucky. Still some spinning and rotation, possibility of some tornadoes with this storm, but nonetheless bringing plenty of rain to cause some flooding in central portions of Mississippi Delta.
The National Weather Desk.
As fire season continues in the Pacific Northwest with several active fires, officials are using a new tool to bring better evacuation plans to residents. Meteorologist Allison Gutliber has more.
Looking to the future, a new system has been designed to help emergency managers better pinpoint areas that are in harm's way. Ed Flick with the Oregon Department of Human Services says this software will help local officials identify and prioritize populations and give better evacuation notifications.
What's really exciting is the potential to get all counties and tribes across Oregon on a single system.
The software was launched this summer and used in Deschutes and Jackson counties for wildfires. Now, Wheeler County can say the same.
So the County Emergency Management Coordinator, Mitch Elliott, has been very enthusiastic about this system. We checked in with Mitch today. He said that the system is ultimately going to save lives in his county.
Mitch Elliott, who is working around the clock on fire evacuations, took a moment to talk with me, and he called the software a game changer.
I believe that what people are going to see is ultimately more accurate and understandable evacuation notifications.
Instead of using paper maps, they are now able to use this system, which maps specific areas of large fires.
This software speeds that process up immensely. And because fires often cross county boundaries, it also allows counties to work together on the same page to do the best job possible to get timely notifications out to people.
Smoke from wildfires on the west coast in Canada will soon be impacting the northeastern United States. Meteorologist Christian Bridges shows us how this happens and what the skies will look like in the area in the coming days.
Thick wildfire smoke set to return to the skies in the Northeast. I took this picture back in August of a day where we also had thick wildfire smoke in the skies. This was taken right around noon, and you can see the muted blue color in the sky, that milky appearance. Similar scenes looking likely as we head later into this week. While we've seen some minor wildfire smoke through this second week of September, hasn't really been enough to make for that milky appearance in the sky. It has brought us more vibrant sunrises and sunsets, but otherwise no real impacts. Notice all this smoke from fires in California and Canada off to the northwest. As we head later into the week, that will be moving on in. Here's a look at expected smoke concentrations across the Northeast on Friday, September 13th. And yes, very thick wildfire smoke is expected to envelop the region, making for that milky appearance in the sky. Luckily, it shouldn't impact air quality all that much.
And when it comes to fall foliage, the weather plays a crucial role. Many people flock to the mountains of Tennessee to see the leaves changing colors. Meteorologist Kit Alexander looks at what visitors can expect this year.
Some would consider autumn to be the most beautiful time of the year because of the display of color throughout the region. This year's leaf peeping season is just around the corner. The sunny, warm, and dry weather that we've seen will play a crucial role in fall colors this season. Travis Watson, campus arborist at East Tennessee State University, says the current weather conditions are favorable for vibrant fall color.
Here we are right now, back in a dry spell. We haven't had rain in a little while. We have rain in the forecast, I think, for the weekend, so that'll probably help. What we are seeing, though, are these seasonable temperatures. It started to cool off in the evenings, and we're having nice, bright, warm, sunny days. So that's really kind of setting up for a good color display.
Travis says elevation plays a key part in the colors we see.
Photo period being the major driving factor, temperature is the other one. So elevation affects temperature. As you go up in elevation, you lower your average daytime, nighttime temperatures. So that's really the elevation effect.
Each type of tree will have a unique color change, but it's heavily dependent on the weather.
What we are seeing, though, is the response to drought. So we've had again, we're back in a drought period. So trees that are heavy water users are starting to shed leaves just to reduce the amount of water that they're taking up. Other things might be foliar diseases that are causing things to shed. So part of what we'll probably see this year is some changes in the density of the color display. Areas that have been highly affected by drought are going to show canopy gaps, and they're just not going to have that full dense canopy.
As we progress further into fall, dry weather and cool nights will result in the vibrant nature show.
And we turn now to meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael, who every week aims to answer viewer questions that he receives on Facebook. Let's take a look at the questions he is answering today.
All right, it's time for another round of your weather bucket questions. I printed off the new questions that are pinned to the top of my Facebook page, so let's toss them in and find out the new question we're going to be answering. All right, here we go. Question from Lindsay. Not sure if it's true or just another fun saying that leaves turn upside down when it's going to rain. Is that true? Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I do know an expert who does.
Typically, the one that does it the most would be silver maple. Some of the other maples will flip when there's a rain coming, but most of the other deciduous trees do not.
Jeff Turnbull is the owner of Darby Creek Nursery, and with decades of experience, he's going to be my go-to person to ask this question. Plus, he said that it might not necessarily be the rain that's flipping the leaves, but something else.
But a lot of it, too, has to do with the corresponding winds that are coming. That usually flips them, but no, most trees do not flip leaves before rain.
Now, this is a red maple, but one thing that you'll notice on the silver maples is the underside is a little bit lighter, so that'll stand out a little bit more. All right, I don't see the question in here, but I've seen it a lot on my Facebook pages. Will the fall leaves look different this year because of the drought parts of the country are seeing? The answer is yes. Stressed trees will start to change their colors and lose their leaves earlier than normal. Plus, the colors will be a little bit more dull for being drier than normal. Thanks for all the weather questions. Keep sending them in.
We are very close to pumpkin season, but for many growers, things aren't looking so good this year. Drought is having a major impact. Isabel Hansen spoke with a farmer in Ohio to find out how they plan to deal with a limited crop.
A precious pick from a patch with very few pumpkins.
So usually by now this would be coated in orange, or you'd be able to see the pumpkins by now. But on the plants, you can see most of them don't have anything.
Mother Nature squashed the season for Roberts Farm Market in Lockbourne.
We planted 2.5 acres We kept checking them weekly and they just weren't growing like they were. And then in August, it just shut off completely. We weren't getting any rain here.
A devastating discovery for Stacy Pasco and Kevin Roberts.
I'm not gonna lie, I cried. You know, you're walking around just kind of looking at all this dead stuff, but we came to terms with it. It is what it is this year. We don't have control over it when we're farming.
Shelves on their stand now empty, a stark contrast from last year.
It's depressing. I mean, we've really been looking forward to this. Fall is our favorite season and it's our customers' favorite season.
And they're not alone in this not so fruitful fate. Pickaway County is experiencing exceptional drought right now, the most severe level on the U.S. Drought Monitor scale.
We are at Mother Nature's mercy this year, and it is every year. I mean, you know you're going to have lost years, so you take your good years and your bad years, and they just kind of even out with each other.
Focusing on their feast instead of famine, selling mums, corn stalks, and straw starting this weekend.
And as we go to break, we take in views of Oregon's Yamhill River.
Well, a very good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Rain starting to move in from the south from Francine today, but most of the Midwest still staying pretty sunny with temperatures on the warm side. A lot of 80s and some 90s there as well. Heading into the day tomorrow, that rain does lift its way a little bit more to the north, so we're seeing some of that rain in southern Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, Kentucky. And by the time that we get to your Saturday, it starts to dissipate some. Got a couple of stray showers or storms across the northern plains.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Things are a little cool all the way from Amarillo down to Midland into the 60s. Everybody else into the 70s. Rain cooled, back on up toward the north and northeast. We're watching Francine as she moves up toward the north, bringing rain all up to the north and northeast of the region. Cold front stretches on down toward the south. Lots of dry air moving in. That means sunshine and more summer-like temperatures coming up for Texas. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Thursday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, partly sunny skies back in play for the Emerald City. Highs in Seattle, though, running a little cool, just in the upper 60s. That's on the cool side of normal for this time of year. Meanwhile, in Phoenix, they can't catch a break, still well into the triple digits. And the big story in the Southwest will be more of that high wildfire danger, especially through Nevada and into Utah. And that's the scene from here.
In some parts of the country, it's feeling a lot like fall right now, but in some of those spots, it's still tick season and their babies can still pose issues for people and also pets. Rachel Branning tells us more.
Seed ticks are the larval youngest stage of a tick. Take a look at these photos. Folks here in Lynchburg say they took their dogs walking on the Blackwater Creek Trail and came home to find hundreds of seed ticks on them. Scott Baker with the Virginia Cooperative Extension says these ticks congregate, so you could have dozens on you at once. He says they may be small, but they're just as dangerous in their young form.
Usually they have to be attached and feeding on you for a while before they can transmit any potential problems to you. So the quicker you get them off, the better.
Baker says you should remove those pests as soon as you see them before they attach, but if they're already attached when you notice them, be sure to get the entire tick. Don't leave any part of it behind. Baker says it's also important to treat your pets for ticks if they're going outside. For yourself and your kids, he says to use bug spray. Back to you.
And looking for more great weather content, check us out on social media. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, and TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We're going to be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Thursday, and I'm going to see you right back here tomorrow.